In today's vernacular, Seth Putnam would just be considered an edgelord out for reactions. He'd be the kind of guy in chat rooms and forums and Discord calls just spamming the F-slur, just spamming the N-word, and just waiting for people to get all outraged, and when they inevitably did, he would just laugh about it. That's the kind of guy that Seth Putnam was. He wasn't a bad guy, he just had a bit of an edgy sense of humor. But he wasn't in forums and chat rooms, no. He was the lead vocalist of a band called AxCx. A band name so edgy that I cannot say here on the channel without risk of being totally demonetized. And that's just an example of Seth Putnam's unique brand of humor. I say unique there with tongue firmly planted in cheek. Hey ladies, how's it going? Dan Frampton here, and how's about we get all oiled up and slip and slide down this rock and roll rabbit hole together? We're gonna start here in an unusual spot at the death of the man, when The Guardian reported 11 years ago that Seth Putnam, the G.G. Allin of grindcore, dies at the age of 43. But I don't think he was anything like G.G. Allin. I don't think these guys were doing the same thing. Yes, they were both doing shtick. Yes, they were just shock rockers out for a reaction, but there is a big, clear difference between these two individuals. But that's a full circle moment, and I'm gonna have to tell this whole story before we get there. So here we have young Seth Putnam, okay? He's just a Christian school kid who's not really caring about school so much. He's kind of growing apathetic, but he's a calm kid, he's a cool kid, he doesn't want any trouble, you know, he just wants to say edgy things. And I think that's pretty relatable from a kid at that time. It's easy to see that there'd be angst growing, especially in a Christian school. So he'd go on to create that band, AxCx, and in 1993, we're gonna get to our first incident. This story has everything, and it's gonna start with an arrest, where in San Francisco they took the stage and they just played one song. And if you want to see them being complete goofs and why this is a total comedy act, all you need is proof in this thing. But we're not here for that. We're here for an incident. And in this incident, there was this lady who was later revealed to be Elizabeth Quigley, says that she was assaulted during the show. And this is the footage of that got him arrested. But the thing is, it's not really clear footage. I'm gonna show you, this is it. He gets dragged off stage. Watch this. It's just like shooting the band. They're just playing, but he's off the stage. What's going on? He comes back on. He's all frazzled. Somebody throws something at him. So something definitely went down when he went into that audience, but it's not really shown in this footage. But it was the incident that got him arrested, but he only spent 1 day in prison. He would later go on to another kind of court and be fined $1,200 for his participation in what we saw here this evening. And I do want to show you a little bit what happens after all of this went down. The audience was not cool with it.
Get the fuck out of here, dick! Thank you!
They don't want him around. They're just screaming, "Get the fuck out of here, bud. We don't want you around."
Get the fuck out of here. This is our fucking neighborhood.
It's their neighborhood, buddy. What are you doing out here punching her people?
Fucking sicko. Get the fuck out of here.
I have no idea what went down, but apparently this Elizabeth Quigley lady, she grabbed the microphone and pulled it, which made him come off the stage or whatever, and then he kind of retaliated, I guess, and that was what led to all this. But I don't know if it was like a punch to the face, I don't know if it was like a fucking spinning back elbow, I'm not sure. But it really riled up this entire crowd.
Get the fuck out of here, man.
I don't think this is shtick. I don't think that this was like planned. I think that this whole town is pissed off at our boy Seth Putnam right now. And this is kind of the reaction that you want when you're peak edgelord. He's got a whole room just screaming at him. But you know, it's kind of cheap when you're just punching ladies in the face. And then he goes on to write a song about how being in a coma is stupid, okay? If you're in a coma, that's pretty lame, because being in comas is for lame people. But, you know, he uses much edgier language than I'm using right now, of course. But the ironic thing is, he would fall into a coma just after writing and releasing this song. And then when he woke up from the coma, there's this quote going around that he was like, "I was right, man. Being in a coma is lame." I'm paraphrasing there. He probably calls it like a lot of other words. So we got arrests, we got comas, we got weird old quotes and songs, and now we get our first official beef. There's this guy, his name is Chris Barnes. He sings for this band called 6 Feet Under, but he used to sing for another band called Cannibal Corpse. But anyway, the boys from AxCx went to one of their shows, 6 Feet Under that is, and tried to like recruit a drummer or whatever. And while they were there trying to recruit a drummer, they started heckling Chris Barnes, being like, "You got kicked out of Cannibal Corpse, you friggin' loser." And this caused a little bit of a skirmish, a little bit of a fight, and that fight would lead to another song called Chris Barnes is a Pussy, and it is just F slur after F slur, so I'm not gonna pull up the lyrics, I'm not gonna read the lyrics, and that's all we're gonna talk about it. That's the end of this beef. The next beef would happen at another show, and this show would be co-headlined by this band called Hatebreed. I don't know if you know them, but they were gonna play on one stage, and AxCx were gonna play on another stage. But Hatebreed's stage, there was like technical difficulties or whatever, so they had to move Hatebreed over to the AxCx stage, and apparently they played the same time slot that AxCx was supposed to play, okay? So you had all of AxCx fans in the audience and Hatebreed on stage. But Hatebreed, they weren't thankful to be there. No. They started insulting the audience. "You guys aren't cool. You guys are dirty old fucking metalheads. Get a mop up here and clean the stage. We're not playing in this filth. You guys are the worst. I hate AxCx. How can you guys support this shitty band? We are Hatebreed, the most sophisticated hardcore band in the world, okay? And we're out here to play a show to all you filthy maniacs." And how do you think this ended up? This ended up in a fight. And that fight ended up on VHS, and that's where the lost media portion of this story comes into play, because apparently this VHS copy with the physical proof of what happened that evening is lost, nowhere to be found. But apparently on that footage, it's shown that Seth Putnam is like 20 feet away from any actual fisticuffs. And the ironic part about it is at the end of it, the only people arrested were Seth and his wife. Talk about drama, holy crap. And then after that, of course, Seth would just go on to die. This time it says for suspected heart failure or whatever. I'm not sure if drugs were involved in this time, but this guy lived a hard and fast life with a lot of drugs, so I'm sure it had something to do with it. But that's just kind of reckless speculation on my behalf. But here we are, we're full circle, he's dead now, and why I don't think G.G. Allin and him are doing the same thing, even though they're just doing shtick, out doing shock rock for a reaction. And the main difference is G.G. Allin used actual feces and was actually naked and did actual crimes in actual places. He was completely delusional. He may have been nice and self-aware, you know, of course, he might have had his moments, but at the end of the day, your legacy is written by your behavior, and there's actual shit all over the place in G.G. Allin's legacy. Now, I know people want to say, yeah, he just took the edgelord thing to the natural conclusion. This is where you would go with it. You would go with it rolling around naked with your small-ass weenie in a bunch of shit, having sex with your brother on stage. But in my opinion, that's not a show. In my opinion, that's not taking something to the logical conclusion. In my opinion, if you want to do that, that's actually kind of cheap. You know what I mean? That's just like Rotten.com, kind of like fucking snuff film behavior. And I don't think that a snuff film is the same thing as what Seth Putnam was putting out there, which was kind of like Howard Stern on steroids, you know? And just for fun, I want to list off a couple of his side projects. Angry Hate, Satan's Warriors, Impaled Northern Moon Forest, Shit Scum, Full Blown AIDS, Death's Head Quartet, Saw, You're Fired, Adolf Satan, Upside Down Cross. He was an edgy boy. He wasn't out to actually harm anybody. He didn't do too many crimes. He didn't spend too much time in jail, you know? So I don't think that he's nearly as bad and as much of a scumfuck loser as G.G. Allin was. And here's the thing. G.G. Allin would actually want to be considered a scumfuck loser. Scumfuck was his whole brand. So I don't know why we have people in my other video in the comments getting all angry at me when I'm celebrating the legacy that G.G. Allin left for us. So if you like this video, if you have anything to add about either of these dramas, you can go down there to the comment section and, you know, use it. And before you bounce on out of here, how about you like, comment, and subscribe? Ring the bell if you're cool as hell, and until my next upload, you can watch another upload.